Hello everyone, it's that time of the week where now we're going over my top 10 games of college football this week and my predictions for them. There's going to be a lot of good games this week. There's plenty of games I left off. It's that good of a week. But let's get started with my number 10 game. We got for Michigan versus Iowa. Now, I don't expect Iowa's offense to put up a lot of points on the board and outscore Michigan's defense, but I do have a question mark as far as, okay, well, since the Michigan offense, looked suspect, against Maryland last week, how are they going to do against a good Iowa defense? Therefore, I don't expect this to be an easy win for Michigan. I feel like it'll take till the fourth quarter to start to pull away there, like they kind of did with Maryland. So I'm going to have Michigan winning 20-6. Number 9, you got Texas Tech versus 25 Kansas State, a new game on ESPN Plus. I mean, I'm not going to overreact to say these two teams are now the new favorites, to win the conference as they beat Texas and Oklahoma respectively. But both are definitely coming off impressive victories. I'll definitely admit that. Now, unlike the last game, Kansas State won't be able to just run the ball on Texas Tech. They have a decent run defense. So can Wildcard's quarterback, Adrian Martinez, use his arm this time instead of his legs to get the win here? I think they will. I think that since Texas Tech is traditionally not the best road team, they play way better at home, and this is at Kansas State. I'm going to take Kansas State to win here. But definitely watch for this game potentially being a kind of a low-scoring affair, both kind of, coming down to earth after getting big upsets, not a lot of points scored. But I'll take Kansas State to win here like 19-13. So I don't have them coming at 7.5 spread that Kansas State's favored by. Next, you got for the number 8 game, you got 17 Texas A&M versus Mississippi State. Mississippi State, even though they're not ranked, is actually a 3.5-point favorite here at home. A 4 o'clock game on SEC Network. I know Texas A&M's coming off a good win, against Miami. Although now, what is Miami? And then also a good win against Arkansas, which Arkansas is going to be a good one regardless of how Arkansas finishes. Arkansas is a good team. But this smells like an upset to me. Even though, like I said, even though Mississippi State's favored in this game. For starters, the Aggies are not that explosive on offense. I know they're more functional with Max Johnson as quarterback instead of Haynes Keens, who just really couldn't get anything going, but still not explosive offense nevertheless. And then not only that, now A&M has just lost their best wide receiver for the season, so that's going to make it even harder. If you take out the fumble return for a touchdown in the Arkansas game, over the past 3 games, because I don't count the FCS game, the Aggies have scored 14 points, 17 points, 17 points on offense. Now, the Aggies do have a very good defense, even though there's been some injuries or missing players and all that. They still have a pretty good defense, but they are better run defenses since Mississippi State loves to pass the ball instead, unlike Arkansas. They can potentially take advantage of a young Texas A&M secondary, and I think that will be the key difference there. Well, that being at Mississippi State. And Mississippi State will get the victory here. Barely have them winning 21-20. 7, you got 18 Oklahoma, who's a 6.5-point favorite versus undefeated TCU, a noon game on ABC. I know TCU gets Oklahoma at home, but it is very dangerous to play a team like the Sooners when they're coming off an embarrassing loss like they did. Brent Venables is going to get his team playing way better than they did last week. I can assure you that. Then, since TCU on defense is worse than Kansas State is, the Sooners offense should get those explosive plays like they're used to getting. So while I expect TCU out to keep, since they can score a lot of points themselves, can keep this competitive, I will take Oklahoma to get back on track here and avoid back-to-back losses. So I have them winning 45-38. 6, you got Iowa State versus Kansas, 3:30 game ESPN2. Even though Kansas is undefeated and they're at home, Iowa State's a 3.5-point favorite here. So I wouldn't take that line if I were you. But this is a big test here for Kansas. I know, they won at West Virginia. West Virginia is going to be, kind of in between a 3-6 win team. But, for Kansas, that's good. And then they also beat Duke, who's undefeated going in that game. But it's like, and then Houston, should be, a respectable opponent in the American Conference. But it's like, okay, this is a first big test. Because Iowa State should be bowl eligible at the least, They're a pretty decent team. I don't think that Kansas defense will contain Iowa State offense. But I do think Kansas, even can outscore Iowa State, as Baylor showed last week. Because I feel they can score enough to get the home win here and show fans that, hey, against Duke, that wasn't a fluke. We're a pretty good team and I have them winning in a high-scoring affair, 38-34. 5, you got by the way, all these next 5 games are all ranked versus ranked matchups, so that's how good it is. You got 22 Wake Forest versus 23 Florida State. Florida State's at home favored by 7, 3-3 ABC game. To me, I'm not a huge believer in Florida State, continuing to win the ACC this year. They'll make a bowl game this year, which is progress considering how the past couple years have been for them. But Wake Forest and their potent offense, I feel like would be too much for Florida State's defense to handle. Now, the one thing that is concerning for the Demon Deacons is with all the motion, the physical energy spent in that double overtime loss to Wake Forest last week, how are they going to come out flat, and have to come back from behind? Like they fell early against Clemson, had to come back from behind. It's like, or are they going to, be all, angry that they didn't get the win? They want to come out and beat a ranked team and show that they're for real. Again, Wake Forest defense nothing right home about, so Florida State on offense should be just fine. But I do think since Florida State's defense can be had, I do think Wake Forest can outscore them and get the win here on the road. I have them winning 38-35. 4, you got 2 Alabama versus 20 Arkansas. I have Alabama's a 16.5-point favorite here, which I'm not sure if I'll take the line there. It's kind of like, when Alabama's favored like 19 against Texas. It's like, not sure if I'll take that or not. But I do think Alabama will win this game. For me, it's like Arkansas loves to run the ball, and Alabama on defense is very good at stopping the run. Just ask Bijan Robinson, who's one of the best running backs in the country, how it was running against Bama. He did not like to do that. Now, the Alabama secondary could potentially be exploded, but I don't feel like KJ Jefferson, while he's a decent passer, he's not like an elite level passer. I feel like he's going to be able to take advantage of that, especially since he doesn't have his top wide receiver from last year. Traylon Burks, who was able to take advantage of Bama secondary last year. But I know this is at home, so that's why I just don't feel like it'd be hard for me to guarantee Alabama will cover the line here, but I do think Alabama wins. I have them winning 31-14. 3, you got 9 Oklahoma State versus 16 Baylor. 3:30 game on Fox. A lot of the good games are in the afternoon. Oklahoma State is one of those top 10 teams just flying under the radar. They haven't played anyone yet, so that's part of the reason why. But here's their chance to get noticed and show that they are a legit Big 12 contender like they were last year. Playing at Baylor is a tough place to play. Baylor hasn't lost a home game since 2020. Also, after the Baylor lost to BYU a few weeks ago, they showed last week that they have figured things out on offense, and I expect them, to put up points since I don't trust the Cowboys' defense here. But I do feel like there would definitely be, some turnovers forced in this game to kind of make it not as high scoring as you may think it would be. But I do think the Baylor Bears here get the home win and send the Big 12 kind of into chaos, So I have Baylor winning by a field goal, 27-24. 2, you got 7 Kentucky versus 14 Ole Miss. Battle of undefeateds here. It's a new game on ESPN. Even though Kentucky beat Florida on the road, I'm still not sure on what their idea is, and not quite selling them. They've gotten off to slow starts against G5 teams, and against Florida, they needed the Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson to basically gave them the win by throwing 2 interceptions. One of them was a pick six, one of them was a near pick six. So, I'm not really sold on what they can do. And for Ole Miss, it's like if you take out Georgia Tech, they got off to slow starts against G5 teams as well, and they haven't really played a legit opponent this year either. So I'm not sure what they're made of as well. I do think this will be more of an offensive game of both teams to score the ball, and if it's kind of going in that direction, then I definitely like the offensive mind here, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, especially at home here, to get the win. I don't think they'll cover the 6 points they're favored by, but I do think they'll win like 30-27. And then last but not least, the first top 10 matchup of the season, believe it or not, you have 10 North Carolina State versus 5 Clemson, 7:30 p.m. ABC game. Now, I expect this to be an ugly game since the forecast calls for bad weather here due to that hurricane going out throughout, the southeast part of the country. But to me, this is a coin flip type of game here, especially when weather's involved. But I think the line here, 6.5, is way too big. I don't think Clemson will win by more than a touchdown if they do win. The one thing going for the Wolfpack here is that they have a good quarterback. Maybe he's not top 5 in the country, but he's definitely top 10-ish, 15-ish. He's definitely a good quarterback. and he can take advantage of a depleted Clemson secondary, which got exposed last week. Um, but also the Wolfpack defense, I feel like they could do a pretty good job of shutting down the Clemson Tigers run game. Because remember the one game that they, had a close encounter with East Carolina beginning of the season, it wasn't East Carolina running the ball that got them that victory. It was East Carolina throwing the ball that got them that victory. So I do feel like the Wolfpack has some advantages there. Now Clemson, obviously I feel like their defensive line especially can stop North Carolina State's run game, so North Carolina State's going to have to throw a ball. So it's just a matter of, okay, which quarter, Davis Swinney has the coaching advantage, obviously, but as far as which quarterback goes, which one do you trust more, DJ Goulet for Clemson or Leary from North Carolina State? I'm going to go with, even though Clemson is a very hard place to play, when on the road there, I'm actually going to take North Carolina State for the upset here. I'm going to be go on a limb there, and that's what I'm calling for. I'm going to have them win 14-13. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Real quick, if I actually sent my updated bowl projections and standings, put it on my LinkedIn profile down the road. So if you want to go look at see who I have making up bowl game and what I think is going to happen throughout the rest of the regular season after the first 4 games have been played, then just look on that. Well, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.